Albania's parliament on Saturday elected a top military official as the country's new president after no candidates were nominated in 3 rounds of voting. General Major Bajram Begaj won the post after 140-seat parliament voted 78 in favor, 4 against and 1 abstained. The governing left-wing Socialist Party nominated and voted for Begaj, 55, after failing to reach a compromise with the opposition on a candidate to replace President Ilir Meta, and no independent candidate was nominated. Most of the opposition boycotted the voting. Begaj is post-communist Albania's 8th president and third from the military ranks. 5-year presidency has a largely ceremonial role, and chosen candidate is expected to stand above partisan divisions. The president holds some authority over the judiciary and the armed forces and is limited to 2 terms. Begaj was elected among 6 candidates, according to Socialist leader and Prime Minister Edi Rama, adding that no candidates from the governing majority were taken into consideration. We gave Albania a normal president, an indisputable personality in his integrity, humanity, and commitment to the country and its people, Rama said. Begaj was released from his army post in a decree from the president, who was on a visit Saturday to Turkey. Meta, who clashed regularly with the government, congratulated the new president. A handover ceremony is planned for July 24. Sheryl Sandberg, COO at Meta Platforms, announced stepping down from her position after 14 years. Sandberg's second most important person at Meta after Mark Zuckerberg announced her departure through an official Facebook post on Thursday. Sandberg said she will leave her post in the fall but will retain a seat on the board. Xavier Olivan will be the next chief operating officer, Meta CEO announced through an official Facebook post. CEO Zuckerberg calls Sandberg's departure as an end of an era. After 14 years, my good friend and partner Sheryl Sandberg is stepping down as COO of Meta, Zuckerberg stated in an official post on Facebook. Zuckerberg said that he doesn't plan to replace Sheryl's role in our existing structure. I'm not sure that would be possible since she is a superstar who defined the COO role in her own unique way. But even if it is were possible, I think Meta has reached the point where it makes sense for our product and business groups to be more closely integrated rather than having all the business and operation functions organized separately from our products. He noted. Xavier Olivan will be the next Meta CEO, but the role will be very different from Sandberg. Xavi will become our next chief operating officer since he will now lead our integrated ads and business products in addition to continuing to lead our infrastructure, integrity, analytics, marketing, and growth teams. But this role will be different from what Sheryl has done. It will be a more traditional COO role where Xavi will be focused internally and operationally, building on his strong track record of making our execution more effective, efficient, and rigorous, Zuckerberg said, explaining the new structure and how the company will operate once Sandberg officially leaves as COO of Meta later this year. A Russian intelligence officer has claimed that President Vladimir Putin has been given just 3 years to live as he has a severe form of rapidly progressing cancer, the Independent reported. The Federal Security Service officer also alleged that the 69-year-old president is losing his eyesight and suffering from headaches. The FSB officer revealed the information about the Putin's rapidly deteriorating health to the former Russian spy Boris Karpikov, who is currently living in UK, the Independent further reported. We are told he is suffering from headaches, and when he appears on TV, he needs pieces of paper with everything written in huge letters to read what he is going to say, the Russian officer said. They are so big, each page can only hold a couple of sentences. His eyesight is seriously worsening, the spy said, adding that Putin's limbs are now also shaking uncontrollably. The channel claimed that Putin's doctor had warned him the surgery might incapacitate him for a short time and that during this period the president should briefly hand over the reins of power to an aide. Concerns about Putin's health also grew after former UK intelligence official Christopher Steele said Putin left meetings for medical treatment. Meanwhile, the Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has denied rumors about Putin's rapidly deteriorating health. The two future monarchs are set to pay tribute to Queen Elizabeth II at a special concert in front of Buckingham Palace on Saturday, the third day of the Platinum Jubilee extravaganza marking her 70 years on the throne. Prince Charles and Prince William, the Queen's son and grandson, are scheduled to address a live audience of 22,000 people and millions more watching on television. The event featuring Diana Ross, Queen plays Anthem Lambert, and Alicia Keys will take place in a temporary amphitheater built around the Victoria Memorial outside the palace. The 96-year-old monarch isn't expected to attend the nighttime outdoor event with rain in forecast. The problems moving around, which the palace describes as episodic mobility issues, have limited the Queen's public appearance in recent months. The sovereign opted not to attend the Epsom Derby on Saturday, the second time in as many days that her troubles in getting around have robbed crowds of a chance to see her. On Friday, the Queen skipped a special Thanksgiving service in her honor at St. Paul's Cathedral in London. Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan, were among nearly 50 members of the royal family who gathered to honor the absent head of the state. The Ukrainian government says Russia has shelled more than 1,000 schools, destroying 95. On May 7, a bomb flattened a school in the eastern village of Bilohorivka, which, like school number 21 in Chernihiv, was being used as shelter. As many as 60 people were feared dead. Intentionally attacking schools and other civilian infrastructure is a war crime. Experts say wide-scale wreckage can be used as evidence of Russian intent and to refute claims that schools were simply collateral damage. But the destruction of hundreds of schools is about more than toppling buildings and maiming bodies, according to experts, to teachers, and to others who have survived conflicts in the former Yugoslavia, in Syria, and beyond. It hinders a nation's ability to rebound after the fighting stops, injuring entire generations and dashing a country's hope for the future. In the nearly 3 months since Russia invaded Ukraine, the Associated Press and PBS series Frontline have independently verified 57 schools that were destroyed or damaged in a manner that indicates a possible war crime. The counting likely represents just a fraction of potential war crimes committed during the conflict, and the list is updated daily. In Chernihiv alone, the city council said only 7 of the city's 35 schools were unscattered. 3 were reduced to rubble. The International Criminal Court prosecutors from across the globe and Ukraine's Prosecutor General are investigating more than 8,000 reports of potential war crimes in Ukraine involving 500 suspects. Many are accused of aiming deliberately at civilian structures like hospitals, shelters, and residential neighborhoods. Rescuers on Monday recovered 21 bodies from the wreckage site of the Tara airplane that crashed in Nepal's mountainous Mastang district on Sunday with 22 people on board, including 4 Indians, minutes after taking off from the tourist city of Pokhara, officials said. The turboprop Twin Otter 9 NAET plane went missing on Sunday morning in the mountainous region of Nepal. The Canadian built plane flying from Pokhara to the popular tourist town Jomsom in central Nepal was carrying 4 Indians, 2 Germans, and 13 Nepali passengers, besides a 3 member Nepali crew. Rescuers have recovered 21 bodies from the crash site, said a statement issued by Civil Aviation Authority of Nepal. One person was still missing, the statement added. It said that 10 bodies were brought to Kathmandu, while 11 bodies were taken to base camp from where the rescue operation is being coordinated. A spokesperson for Tara Air said that search and rescue teams are scouring the area for the remaining person. The President and Prime Minister of Nepal have condoled the death of crew members and passengers in the plane crash. The government has formed a 5 member commission of inquiry headed by senior aeronautical engineer Ridesh Chandralal Suman to find out the cause of Tara airplane crash. A preliminary investigation revealed that the aircraft had crashed into the mountains after it swerved to right instead of taking to left due to inclement weather. A United Nations Security Council report reminded about the persistent threat Pakistan's security faces from the Afghanistan based Tariq-e-Talib Pakistan (TTP) and warned that prospects of success of the ongoing peace process with the dreaded terror group were bleak, according to a media report. The annual report of 1988 Taliban Sanctions Committee monitoring team noted TTP's linkages with Afghan Taliban and explained how the group benefited from the fall of Ghani regime last year and touched upon its relations with other terrorist groups operating from Afghanistan. The banned TTP, the report noted, had up to 4,000 fighters based in east and southeast areas along the Afghanistan-Pakistan border and made up the largest group of foreign fighters based there, according to Pakistan's Dawn newspaper. This was the team's first report for the committee since Taliban takeover of Kabul in August last year. The report's original focus was on Taliban's internal politics, its finances, relations with Al Qaeda, Daesh, and other terrorist groups, and the implementation of the UNSC sanctions. The report's launch coincided with the start of the third round of talks between the Pakistan government and TTP last Thursday. The first round of talks held in November last year had yielded a month-long ceasefire that later broke down after TTP accused Islamabad of not fulfilling promises. The TTP subsequently resumed attacks against Pakistani forces. Statistics tabulated by the Pakistan Institute of Peace Studies revealed that this year the militant group carried out nearly 46 attacks, mostly against law enforcement personnel, in which 79 people lost their lives. The United States warned Tuesday that it will try again to toughen UN sanctions if North Korea tests a nuclear weapon after a bid last week was vetoed by China and Russia. Asked if United States would make a new attempt at the Security Council if North Korea goes ahead with a feared nuclear test, US Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield said, "Absolutely we will. First of all, we need to enforce the sanctions we have already authority to enforce," she told reporters. And we certainly, as we attempted in the last resolution, will push for additional sanctions, she added. US intelligence has said that North Korea appears to be preparing its first nuclear test since 2017, although it did not go ahead during a visit to the region earlier in May by President Joe Biden. United States on Thursday forced a vote at the Security Council on toughening sanctions after North Korea carried out a series of rocket launches, including, according to US and South Korean officials, of an intercontinental ballistic missile. The United States said The test was a brazen violation of unanimous UN resolution in 2017 that warned of further consequences for tests of long-range missiles or nuclear weapons. But China, North Korea's main ally, and Russia, whose relations with the West have deteriorated sharply over its Ukraine invasion, both vetoed the resolution, saying that no sanctions would be counterproductive and raise tensions. The United States instead on Friday imposed new unilateral sanctions, including on two Russian banks accused of assisting North Korea on its weapons program. The Biden administration has said it is ready for dialogue with North Korea without preconditions. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky quoted Mahatma Gandhi to describe the country under war and said, "Strength is in the absence of fear, not in the number of muscles in our body. First they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win." The president was speaking at the ceremony of the presentation of credentials by Harsh Kumar Jain, India's ambassador to Ukraine on Thursday. The presentation of credentials is a ceremony where a newly appointed foreign ambassador presents their credentials to the head of the state, asking them to accept the ambassador's claim of speaking for their country. Zelensky also received credentials from the US ambassador and the ambassador of Moldova. The president congratulated the foreign ambassadors and said that the easiest way to help the country, which has been resisting the Russian invasion for over 100 days, is to be present. I thank all the ambassadors who stayed in Ukraine for as long as possible. Those who return to Ukraine as soon as possible. I will be glad as much as possible to welcome all those who will soon return to our heart, to Kiev, said Volodymyr Zelensky. Harsh Kumar Jain was appointed as the new ambassador of India to Ukraine on November 2021 and arrived at Warsaw on April 5 to take up his position.